Thank you so much for joining us today for our next Nourishing Your Baby Lactation Support Group series. My name is Amanda Taylor. I'm the Community Engagement Librarian for the City of Roanoke. And here with me today is Amber Lowry. She's a librarian and manager of youth services. Before we get started, we're going to talk about reading today, but I also want to mention our great sponsors, which is the Roanoke Public Library Foundation, Star City Reads, Feed, Read, and Grow, and of course, the wonderful grant given to us by the Junior League of the Roanoke Valley. Hi, Amber.
Hey, Amanda.
Thanks for joining me today.
Sure, absolutely.
So today we're talking about reading, and I know that this is really hard for some people because some people don't enjoy reading out loud and stuff. My husband is terrified of reading to our kid, and because he thinks he does it wrong, right? So can you tell me why it's important just to do it, whether it's right or wrong, or just do it?
You know, reading is talking to your baby. It doesn't matter if there's, an actual book, a physical book in your hands. It's more of exposing your baby and your children to language. And the best way to do that is through book, because it guides you and it gives you, typically a lot of books, they have rhyming and rhythm and different words that we're not always talking in our everyday life. But really, that's what reading is. And so I would encourage anybody that thinks they're not doing it right or thinks that they can do it wrong or mess up their child by reading not the right books or not enough. It's more of just considering it another part of your routine that brings your baby closer to you, that exposes them to more language. The more they hear your voice, the more they're exposed to the words and the vocabulary and the way you talk, the way your voice goes up, the way your voice goes down. That is building your baby's brain, and it's getting them ready to learn. And so when people tell me they'll come to story time and they're like, I just could never read a book like you read a book. And I'm like, it's not about how you do it. It's
right.
just about the exposure of the language, the connection with your baby. And really, I want to reiterate the routine. When we get into any routine with babies, when we're raising our children, we have feeding time, we're changing them, we have nap time, all these routines, we're getting them into the routine of this is what our daily life is like. And books and language should be part of that.
Right.
So whether or not it's something you're in the car and you're singing with your baby, or it's at nighttime and you're reading with your baby, you're creating that routine and that exposure to language.
That's wonderful. So I know that his big issue is he couldn't do all the voices because I'll do different voices for things.
Yes.
So you're telling us that that's not a mandatory thing.
Not a mandatory thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can build up from regular reading.
Right. Now, later in life, your daughter might say, hey, I'd rather mommy read this book than daddy. But it might play favoritisms later in life. But no, it's important for her to hear his voice too, because that connection and that exposure is just as important when building her brain.
So the other thing I know a lot of people wonder is sometimes so I'm pregnant now, right?
Yes.
So sometimes people read to baby in utero. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people wait till they're a little bit older. Do you have a suggestion of when it's best to start reading out loud, when you're pregnant or when your baby is here or anything like that?
I think the earlier the better. But again, reading is speaking. So when you are pregnant, are you speaking to baby? So as long as you're speaking to baby, then I think you're doing the right thing. It doesn't matter if you're speaking to baby by reading, brown bear, what do you see? Or if you're saying, well, good morning, Peanut, how are you? Oh, mommy's so hungry. Oh, goodness, stop doing that to mommy.
Me,
yeah, right. You're exposing baby to language. They're hearing your voice. They're hearing, again, that cadence and that rhythm. And so that is soothing to baby. When baby comes out, then they hear that again, and it soothes baby. So again, reading is important, but language is what's important. And if you need to be able to read the book to expose the language, then that can be your tool in your resource belt.
So let's zoom forward to like 6 months or so with baby, right? Mm-hmm. Baby eats the books.
Yeah,
Baby's going to chew on the books. Yeah. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this something where, you're mad mom and don't eat the books?
It's absolutely right. Baby, again, is developing their brain. And so in order for them to explore and learn, it's part of, I typically, baby hand and fist, everything goes to mouth, especially at a certain age. And I would encourage it to be the book too. And so one thing I encourage parents to do is to whatever they do, to never make a bad experience around a book, because we don't want the baby to think, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get yelled at. If baby puts the book into the mouth and you go, oh no, don't do that, they're not thinking that, oh, I shouldn't eat the book. They're thinking, oh, book bad. So I do encourage board books. I love crinkly books, books for the bathtub, books that you can't destroy. And again, if baby gets a hold of a book and ends up tearing a page, you just have to be really hard as a parent not to like react.
So let's zip forward again, right? So now we're at 2 years, okay?
Yes.
So my little one gets very distracted halfway through a book. So do you have any tips and tricks where you can kind of engage small readers or bring them back in or help their focus on these books when they get a little bit older?
Right, and I guess it really depends what's in a parent's wheelhouse.
Right.
So I say, I love Mary Poppins, and so we all have our Mary Poppins bags. And so sometimes a parent's in Mary Poppins bag is tools like singing and finger plays and rhyme. It comes natural for them. And sometimes that's not what it is. The other thing is I love repetitive phrases. We were talking earlier about baby shoes, and baby shoes is super cute. Lots of language, lots of colors, but it rhymes. Used red to draw a rose and some loops on the toes. But there's repetitive phrases. Baby says, uh-oh. Mommy says, oh no, but those shoes just go, go, go. So in this book, it's repetitive phrase. They say these 3 phrases again and again after every page. They rhyme. There's like hand things that we can do with it. But the important thing is a child, especially by the age of 2, they're wanting to help mommy or daddy. They're wanting to be part of it. They want to feel like they're big kids. And we keep on encouraging, we're going to be a big kid. We're potty training, right? We're going to be a big kid. We're going to eat with a spoon by ourselves. We're going to be a big kid. We're going to read a book with mommy. And so a lot of times with repetitive phrases, even by the age of 2, things like uh-oh, oh no, go, 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 are things that a baby and a toddler and all the way up to preschoolers can do with mommy. And they feel like now they're helping mommy.
That's wonderful. So do you have any go-to books that you think are just classics that, whether you're going to a baby shower, you're buying one for your own baby, you should include these?
I have 100, literally a list of 100.
We'll publish it later,
no,
right?
Yeah, it's so hard. No, I think you're just going to have to find what's right for you. Again, practically perfect in every way, and no mom is. But you usually will have your few that you pull out, and they'll remember them. So my children are now grown, and I still, my 18-year-old will call me from college, and she'll say, I was just thinking about that book. And that book, it wasn't about reading the book to the child. What she's remembering is not necessarily me reading the book to her. She's remembering the connection we made, the routine we made of it, and the comfort it brought her. And that's what she's missing right now away at college. And so that's what we're doing. We're reading, we're connecting, we're helping building their brain and create routine around books.
I don't think there's a better place we can end than that right there. Thank you so much for joining us and talking a little bit about the importance of reading to your kiddo.
Thanks.